Okay, everyone, welcome to the Book Refuge. My name is Jen. Today, I'm revealing to y'all one of my favorite, oddly specific things to find in a book, which is why I have more for this recommendation list than I normally do when I have an oddly specific. So if you've watched more of these before, I have them in a playlist. You can check them out there. I usually only have like 5 or 6 recs for this, and then I'll have like books that I want to read that have it in it. But squirting or female ejaculation is one of my favorite things to read in a book, okay? It usually only comes in very erotic ones for some reason. But also there are some authors that I find they put it in like all their books. They just make it a normal. It's there. Sometimes it's not even like given a big fanfare. Now, what is squirting or female ejaculation, which I feel like is a very tightly tied with the corn industry, and that's maybe where people have only ever seen it or heard of it in there. But I love reading it in a book for a couple of reasons. One, I do think that it's very sexy when, because usually, I mean, both in reality and in a book, for a woman to be able to ejaculate that way, they have to be very relaxed, very in tune with their body, or their partner has to really be able to work their body to make it happen. And I love that. I love when it's a surprise. I have a couple that I'll talk about in here that it surprises both of them. One of my favorite books of 2021. It's just like this surprise that happens to this young couple who is experimenting, and they're like, whoa, what is it? Again, if you don't know what female ejaculation is, I mean, it's what it sounds like. It isn't pee in the same way that, like, you know, like male ejaculate isn't pee, even though it comes out of the same place. It is fluids that are created in the female body that can ejaculate out. Sometimes it is straight up like very much spraying out, or it just is described in some books as an extra gush. I know, I'm being whatever, but you know what? Some people need to know, because if I don't just tell you in the beginning, someone down below will be like, what is squirting, Jen? And so I'm just telling you, because when I do oddly specific or taboo recs, I explain what the thing is. But now we'll get into it, okay? Because like I said, I have quite a few of these. And then I do still have 3 books that I want to read this year that have it in it. But this shows up more and more. I'm happy when I can see it. Like I said, there's some authors I feel like put it in more and more because they don't make it as taboo or as extra as whatever. But honestly, it was hard to choose which ones to put on this list, and that made me very excited. But let's go ahead and dive into this list. So I'm just going to go through the physical ones that I own, and then I'll go through the ones that I don't. So there is Zenny by Rebecca Weatherspoon. This little book here in, like, Rebecca Weatherspoon puts so many great both kinks and diversity and situations. Like, this book also has pegging. It also has a plus size hero. It has this marriage of like inconvenience, is how it's said, where Zenny needs to get married to like get her inheritance from her aunt or something, and there is this guy who like knows her aunt and was close with him that is the person she's supposed to marry. And they decide that while they need to be married, how about they have sex? And they're both actually bisexual. So that includes, like I said, like there's pegging in this and there's squirting in this. And I love it. And again, Rebecca Weatherspoon, she's one of the authors. She puts squirting in a lot of her books that I've read. In another series of hers that I love, there's also squirting that shows up a lot. So definitely an author to check out. I adore everything by Rebecca Weatherspoon, and I wish she would write more of these books and not as many cowboy books. But maybe I need to start reading her cowboy books, because, you know, it's the year of the cowboy for me. It definitely is. We have Does It Hurt by H.D. Carlton. This one is just crazy. The sex that these two have is so overboard. This was on, like, it was on my second tier of my favorites list. It was probably my lowest rated, but like this was still a 6-star read for me, and mostly because it was bonkers. And part of that is the kinks in this one. There's a breath play. There is like just a lot of dangerous, sexy scenarios, but there is also squirting because Enzo is like relentless. He also does a lot of like orgasm denial, and in the case of squirting, sometimes it's like if you're holding back and holding back and holding back and then you let go, you're more likely to be able to get this effect, get this feeling happening. And that's something that happens to, I think this is Sawyer, right? Is this Sawyer's the heroine? Yes, that's something that happens with her and Enzo, is he very much is like denying, and then it just explodes, literally, and it's really hot. It's really hot, okay? We have The Dare by Harley LaRue. This little novella packs quite a punch. It's also the setup for the Losers, like, duet that just came out at the end of 2022, but this really kind of sets it up. There is this party, and Jessica Martin, she has kind of been like a bully to Manson and his friends, and there's this one party where she falls into a dare, and it's to like do all the things he wants her to do for the night, and a lot of them are sexual, but like she wants her choice to be taken away, so it is like, it's dubcon, but it's consensual non-consent, which is consent, and they make her squirt and it's great, and she does in Losers as well, but I wanted to show this one since it's the first one in it. Then we have Unchosen Ruler by Maggie Cole, and this is a book I want to talk about more. I want to talk about more about Maggie Cole in 2023. I definitely will be. She has a new duet that's coming out soon that I'll be talking about a lot, believe me, it's great. But this one is book 6 in her Mafia War series. Now, I don't often say that you can read books out of order in series. I'm really a person that I'm like, you should read them in order. However, the way that this series is set up, there's 10 books in this series, but it's kind of split into 2 parts. There is the Ivanov brothers, and then there is the O'Malley brothers. And this one is the first one in the O'Malley part of the series. And so I really do believe like you could read this on its own, because my feeling is if you read this on its own and you get introduced to all the characters, you're probably gonna want to dive in and read the other ones anyway, so I don't have a problem telling you to read this. So this one though is about our hero. This one, I just gotta double check his name. Yeah, Liam. That's what I thought. Just double check. Who he's actually been in prison for quite a while, and now he's gotten out, and like he's missed all of his young years, and he needs to get reacquainted with how the family is doing business, and he falls for this school teacher who is the friend of his friends' like wives, basically. So like the Ivanov crew, you know, they're all married up by the time we get to this one, and they have a friend, Haley. I think I got that right too, and she is a kindergarten teacher. And when they meet, there's instant chemistry between them, instant chemistry. And I mean, he wants to protect her from that life, but also all of her friends are now part of the life. So it's not like she's this perfectly innocent person. And also there are parts of her past that she doesn't even know about that tie her into this more than she thinks. So that's a really cool thing as we find out. But getting to the squirting part of this, what's so cool about this book, I love this one, because once these two start having sex, they have some amazing chemistry, and they're both so open and willing to try things. And also, again, he's been in prison for so long that he just loves this adventurous girl, and so she actually makes him like this like prize chart, which is something she's done for like her students. And on this prize chart she has these different sex acts, and if they do them, he gets more points for them. And then once he's earned so many points, he can have a prize. And in this prize drawer, there are like different sex toys or different date experiences. Like one of them is like doing art on like you put the paint and have sex, and then you have like the sex art thing. And just some like different experiences, and like on her chart, because when they're having sex one of the first times, like she squirts, and she doesn't like, I don't think she's ever done it before, but she puts that as one of the things on the point chart, that anytime he gets her to have like a squirting orgasm, it's worth like a lot of points. So he tries to do that all the time so he can get more points. So I just thought it was so creative, and I honestly, like, I love some of the sexy things that Maggie comes up with. That isn't what this whole book is about. Like, this is a mafia book. There are people coming after our people. There are people we're fighting against. That's what's happening in mafia. But the love story part of it, which is of course equally important, we have these two who are just exploring their sexual boundaries together in such a fun way. And like, gosh, I would read a whole book about a magic sex chart that everyone's trying to like check the boxes on. Like, I absolutely would. So I really recommend this. Again, I'll say it one more time. You can just read this book if you want. Do I think you'll only read this book once you read it? No, I don't. But this is actually in like my top 3 or 4 O'Malley book. There's 10, so it's difficult for me to choose. But this one, I love it so much just for the sexual exploration. And like Liam, there's a whole thing about why Liam was in prison. Liam is in prison. It's him and one of his brother. It's his brother or his cousin. And the reason they're in prison is like, there's so much that goes into that. It isn't black and white at all. And that is kind of a mystery that will pull you through, that you'll want to read more. So highly recommend for the squirting and for the story. And then there is The Bully by Sophie Lark. Now, this is the one I mentioned at the beginning where, this was one of my favorite books of 2021. If you can't tell, I've annotated the crap out of this book. I absolutely love it. Do I have even, this is one of the ones I brought with me to Utah, and I had Sophie actually like highlight her favorite parts, but I don't know where it's at now, but she has signed this one for me. But anyway, so without like spoiling too much, because this is book 3 in the Kingmakers, and this is a series. Unlike with Unchosen Ruler, where you can start where you want, you need to start with the heir for this one. I won't say you have to go all the way back to Brutal Prince and start with Brutal Prince to get to it. But look, I have my Sophie Lark timeline right back there. But you should at least start with the heir, because actually Dean has a POV in the heir. And then Dean's heroine, Kat, I'm just going to say her name, even though a lot of people will be like, don't say who she is. I'm going to say it at this point. It's been almost 2 years. She has a POV in The Rebel, which I have like behind Anastasia right there. And then this book is their book together. And then The Spy, who is a secret, I won't say, they have a POV in this one, and we don't know who they are. Anyway, but as regards to the sexual relationship, which is what we're talking about here. So Dean knows something about Kat that she would like to keep a secret. And he is a broken boy. Okay. He's a broken boy. He has some issues. All right. They're plentiful. His issues are plentiful. And he decides to use this as leverage just because he wants a fuck toy. Okay. It doesn't start out that she's going to be a fuck toy, but first he's messing with her. He's being a bully and she just has to take it. And then she's like, are you just going to do this forever? Because I can't. And so he's like, here's what we're going to do. You're going to give me, I think it's just a month or 2 months. I don't remember the timeline now, but he's like, I want you to give me this amount of time with absolute surrender, which includes sexually. You're going to do whatever I want. And if you do, then the slate is wiped clean. And she like doesn't know if she trusts him, but she's also like, I don't really have a choice. And also maybe if I please him enough, he won't. So they start meeting in the tower every night, like after school, and he will have her do different things. And it starts out that he really is kind of like messing with her, right? And there's a collar involved, and there is some kinkiness involved. But really what it becomes very quickly, and this gets way over Dean's head, it just all goes just way over the top very quickly, is he becomes obsessed with her, and they both become obsessed with pushing their sexual limits and learning what they like. And so there's lots of toys that gets used, lots of fun things. The aftercare is excellent. Fantastic. And there's a time where when he's playing with her that she squirts. There's also a time when she's playing with him that he's able to have non-ejaculating orgasms. He has these like rolling orgasms where he doesn't ejaculate, and so he like stays hard the whole time. Like, oh god, it was so cool to read about, because these two, it's kind of this like, you know, it's a deal that's been made, but through their like sexual experiences, they get so wrapped up in each other and in the freedom they have that it really builds this very strong relationship between the two of them. And I love it. Sophie does that so well. She does kinky play in such emotional ways that it can be so erotic, but also just hit you in the guts. She does that so well. And this was one of my favorite books of 2021 because of that. So good. So good. Only My Beautiful, Miko, and Raylan could compete with Dean. Okay? Like, excellent. Okay, then we have Titan by Gillian Graves. Okay, this is a daddy dom gargoyle romance. The heroine is like this Hollywood starlet. She was a child star and things have went wrong, and like her mother is withholding her like money from her, and so she's in a tough way. So she becomes basically like a high-class call girl, and she ends up getting wrapped up in this scenario where this gargoyle is trying to complete this mission, and she becomes someone who he could use for cover. But then also they realize that like, hey, let's also have a sex deal involved as well. So there's a little bit of daddy doming in here, not too much, and not much like LG. Like, it's not too much DDLG. It's just like daddy is his honorific and he wants to care for her. So there's great aftercare and there's some squirting involved. It's wonderful. I also forgot to grab Breaking Perfect by Lydia Michaels. This is one of my favorite books by Lydia Michaels, one of the first menages that I ever read. This one also has surprise squirting in it. So this one involves a married couple who their sex life is very much controlled, they both enjoy the sex they're having, but the heroine has OCD and compulsive tendencies, and so her husband has kept everything very regimented and routine. So like they only have sex at a certain time every week. This is when they do it, because at the time that's what was best for her mental health. But she's gotten a lot healthier, like she's gotten better, and they've never like reevaluated that. So they're going to start reevaluating their sexy time at the same time that her husband's ex-lover comes in, and this ex-lover is a man, and they like, it's amazing. But anyway, that's a whole nother story. We're talking about the squirting part of it, and there's a time where they're all playing together and she squirts and she's horrified because she doesn't know what happened. And this was a beautiful moment of like, she didn't even know her body could do that. And the heroes both like explain what happened to her, and they're like, that means that you were just really able to let go, and it's so sexy, and we love that you did that, and we want to make you do it again and again and again. Sorry, I need a drink. All right. Then we just have two more to talk about that I have read. So there is The Beast by Jenica Snow. This is a kinky Beauty and the Beast loosely. The Beast is a beast the whole time. It's a short novella. There is primal play and chasing down and lots of sexy things. Like, Jenica Snow is actually a great place to go if you want to explore new kinks, because her books are usually pretty quick and really spicy, and we get the goodness. Okay, we get the goodness happening. Then there are actually two books by QB Tyler that have it in there. There's Always Been You, which is a forbidden, like, adopted brother. Like, well, she's the adopted sibling, but, like, it's her adopted brother who is, like, 10 years older than her. And one year they end up spending a few days together before they're going to go back to their parents for Christmas. And things get a little out of hand. Things get a little spicy, a little bit crazy for them. And they finally admit that they've been having feelings for each other for quite a while. And there's lots of sexy time involved. And QB, she goes there, man. She goes there. There's also Love Unexpected, which is a stepdaughter romance. Her mother dies. He's the only thing she has left. They end up being together. And then I haven't read this one yet, but I think someone just told me that Always Meant to Be has it, as well as that one has pegging. Now, I didn't end up reading that one because I was nervous about it, but after I'm hearing the kinks that are in it, I might have to give it a go because it has two of my favorite kinks in it. So we'll try. Okay, and then three that I want to read that I haven't yet. Bad for the Weekend by Misty Walker. I already own a copy of this, and I have heard this has it in it. Two Fights by Nikki Castle. I've only read 3 rounds. I don't know. I've only read one of these books by Nikki Castle, and I want to read this one. And then When She Unravels by Gabrielle Sands. Now, this is actually a part of my 12 Recs by 12 Friends challenge. So I'm already going to be reading that one. And when I saw it on the squirting list, I was like, this is perfect. This is what I need. This is the book that I want. So I will be grabbing onto that one soon too. So there you go, everybody. Those are my recs for squirting. Let me know if you've read some that have it in there. Big, small, multiple, that'd be great. I would love to find some historicals that have it happen in them. I feel like that is kind of a big dream. It's probably going to be pretty niche, erotic ones that it's in there. But I would love, oh Lord, I would love if that showed up. Because you know it had to happen to someone, right? Like, you know that it's not like squirting is a brand new thing. Like, people were doing it and stuff came out and the woman was like, whoa, that felt amazing. Do it again. Okay? Like, you know it had to happen. I wonder if it happens in any by SM La Violette, because she has an erotic series. I wonder if it is. But anyway, enough of that. Thank you so much for watching this. Make sure you subscribe to my channel. Check out my playlist. If you'd like more taboo or oddly specific recs, I'll have that linked up above. And I'll see you next time. Bye.